What up, fight fans? So Golovkin Murray has come and gone. Just finished watching it now, and I predicted a Golovkin 8th, ninth round stoppage, and he got it done in 11. And Martin Murray, to his credit, man, he fought the best he could, man. I mean, he stood in there, landed some shots on Golovkin, but again, it's just Golovkin just is in a way like too dominant, but you could kind of see that he paced himself for the 11 rounds that it went. It was I think the fight, honestly, he could have ended this fight a lot sooner than the fight went, but I think right from the get-go, when Murray, or at least at the point when Murray got dropped with those body shots, and then just the accumulation of punches, and it was just too much for him to handle. And like I was surprised his corner didn't stop it before. But you want to give somebody of Murray's caliber, the chance or the credit to like get back in there and see if he can pull a miracle off. But I think at the point when the fight was stopped, it was a right stoppage. I mean, he was getting beat up in that fight. His eye was getting swollen up from the nosebleed, and just when you look at a guy like Golovkin, and you look at the position that he's in, and I made mention of this when I did a prediction video about it, and just going on the internet now and seeing some of the comments that some of the boxing fans have, there's still criticism of him, and then I knew this was going to happen because for Martin Murray, again, like his claim to fame was, beating Felix Sturm and Sergio Martinez, to what some people believe he did. But again, I don't think there's anybody, with the exception of Andre Ward, that is going to put Golovkin over with the critics per se, because he's calling out Miguel Cotto now, and I've been reading, people saying that Cotto is going to beat Triple G easy, and I'm like, I understand, and people get caught up emotionally with when a fighter has so much hype behind him, and you want to be that, people just want to go against the grain. I mean, that's just the way it is sometimes. And I text my man. I'm like, yo, Gennady Golovkin is turning into the 2008 Floyd Mayweather, where 80% of the boxing fans were just like, why doesn't he fight Cotto? Why doesn't he fight Paul Williams? Why doesn't he fight Margarito? Or at least at that point, why didn't he fight Mosley? Golovkin's in that position now. They're saying, oh, well, Canelo will beat him, Cotto will beat him, Ward will definitely beat him. But until proven otherwise, man, Golovkin is favored against anybody from 154 to 168 minus Andre Ward, okay? And I think what we saw in this fight was a Golovkin that, A, could take a punch, B, is patient, and just he's a little more calculated than people think, man. I mean, he doesn't go in there and just go for the kill. And I made mention of that in my prediction video for the fight. And I think he just took his time in this fight, man. I think, honestly, by like round 3 or 4, I think not only him, but I think we all knew he had control of this fight. And I think he was just putting rounds in, to be honest with you. There wasn't really any, I mean, Murray, to give him credit, he was throwing shots that weren't really, like, in a sense, like, trying to keep Golovkin up. I mean, he was trying to, like, hurt Golovkin as best as he could. But what we're finding out in every fight, Golovkin's not the greatest defensive fighter, and I think part of that is by design. But we're starting to see that the guy could take a shot, and if he doesn't respect your power, man, you're gonna have a long night or a short night, depending how it goes. But look, Martin Murray's a tough guy, man. I mean, we had seen him in the fights with Martinez and Sturm, and he can hang, man. He's had, like they said, 24 rounds of championship fights. But as I said before, Golovkin is just another skill level up, and you can't ignore the power. And though Murray took the shots, I mean, he got dropped 3 times in the fight, but it's going to be a hard it's going to be a very hard ordeal for a fighter to get in there and have to deal not only with his power, with Golovkin's power, but the footwork and the patience and the distance. a lot of guys, when they see fighters that they find an opening or what have you, when they end up like just get succumbing themselves and getting hit with counter shots. Golovkin really didn't do that, man. Like he got inside but got right out and then right back in. And again, it made it really hard for Martin Murray to set up any type of consistent offense that would cause Golovkin trouble. And not only that, but like I said, you had to give him some type of movement. But even with that being said, you have to compete with his footwork against how slick, per se, you can be against him. So we still have yet to see like a fighter of that magnitude like contend with Golovkin. But at least at 160 pounds, I don't find a lot of guys that are going to present those type of issues, which is, again, why people bring up Andre Ward. So he's calling out Miguel Cotto. Now, if you followed my videos throughout the years, and obviously, you know, I'm a big Cotto supporter, been a big fan for a while. But look, man, this is a fight Miguel Cotto does not need in his life. This is, to me, he would be basically catapulting Golovkin, man, because I honestly don't see Cotto beating this guy. I really don't. I think, you know, Cotto is, you know, he's not a middleweight. He beat Sergio Martinez, and look, we can make all the concessions we want, and I give Cotto credit for that fight. But I mean, if people are gonna play this triangle theory, I think Golovkin would have murdered Sergio Martinez even worse. So it's like, I don't know, like how people want to compare, like, well, Golovkin looked like shit against Martin Murray, which he really didn't. And you look at how Cotto looked against Sergio Martinez, great performance, but again, styles make fights. And one of the major kryptonites in Cotto's career is pressure fighters. And when you get a guy who's a legit middleweight and can cut the ring off and has power behind both hands, I think it would be a really bad night for Miguel Cotto, man. And again, man, I am a big Cotto supporter, and I'm just keeping it real, man. I think, realistically, I think Cotto might just vacate the title. And if you look on the WBC's website, David Lemieux is, I want to say, the #1 contender to the interim title. But if Cotto vacates the title, then the fight becomes Lemieux and Golovkin for the vacated title, which I think is more of a realistic situation than a Cotto Golovkin fight. I just don't think they're gonna approach it. You know, I don't think Cotto's team, I don't think Freddie Roach, as how he's hinted in the last couple months, that they really don't want to entertain that fight. And you can't blame them, man. Like, Golovkin is low reward, high risk. And for Miguel Cotto at this stage of his career, man, he's looking for big money fights, or like in a situation like he's in now where the Canelo fight's not happening, he might have to fight somebody like a Timothy Bradley, or what if he just doesn't fight at all, which I think would probably be a bad idea. But he doesn't have a lot of options. And if it becomes a situation where, you know, the WBC presses him, says, yo, man, like, they want to fight in June, you don't got an opponent, what's going on? It's going to look, in a way, bad on Cotto, like, for him to not take the fight. But, again, like, I'm just looking at it from a realistic standpoint, man. Cotto is not a middleweight. Golovkin will be way too much for him. And for Golovkin, it's a win for him because he would have beaten a big name. But, again, the same detractors that you see today that tell you, oh, well, Cotto will beat him, Canelo will beat him, Ward will beat him, all these people. If he goes and beats Cotto, it's going to be the same thing all over again. Oh, he was in the real middleweight. And which, again, it brings me back to he's the new Floyd Mayweather of boxing as far as the hate is concerned. Because I remember when Floyd was getting that hate in 2007, 2008, and then he, you know, had the little retirement. Golovkin's almost getting that same type of hate where no matter who he gets in the ring with, there's going to be some type of excuse as to why he beat him. And I think with Golovkin, we know he's not a defensive wizard. So when people see him get hit, it's like, oh, it's over. Oh, this guy, he's trash. But, I mean, we could go down the list of fighters throughout history that weren't great defensive fighters, like Marvin Hagler. I mean, Marvin Hagler was a decent defensive fighter, But I mean, he got hit, man. Like, I mean, there's every fight. I mean, I can name you several fights where he got clipped, but he kept coming, man. And that's really all that matters. Not every fighter is gonna be in there and be a virtuoso. I mean, that's why, at least to compare with Floyd, man, that's why he is great, because he can't fight like that. But with Golovkin, man, that doesn't make him any less of a fighter, because he's dominant in his own fashion. So at this point, man, they're talking about the Cotto fight. I honestly don't think that's gonna happen. I think realistically, a David Lemieux fight, and then in the fall, the winner of Quillin and Andy Lee, which really would wrap up his year. And, you know, if you look at it, he would have Martin Murray, Lemieux, and the winner of those two. If he could get those three in 2015, I mean, I think people have him at the top right now, but I think that would be undisputable without even having to have a Miguel Cotto fight, which, again, he would be heavily favored in anyway. So that's pretty much it, man. As far as who he fights, like I said, I think Lemieux would be the option, but we'll have to wait and see. So as I always say, subscribe, hit the links. Let me know what you thought of the fight, who you want Golovkin to fight, or who really is going to step up to fight him. And we'll have to wait and see, man. So as I always say, subscribe, hit the links, and I'll be back with you soon.